Warning, the following video contains spoilers for the lost episode LAX, which aired on February 2nd, 2010, and any episodes that came before it. You have been warned. Hey, this is Jordan from Jersey, and this is why the newest episode of Lost, LAX, which aired on February 2nd, 2010, did not create a temporal paradox. Another non-spoiler warning, if you're not a Lost fan, or if you're not an obnoxious Lost fan like myself, this is probably going to be really boring and annoying. But if you are one of those obnoxious Lost fans like myself, you may find it interesting. Now, I'm going to be writing this on a makeshift whiteboard. I hope it's readable, because the camera and everything. I will do my best. So here's what we got. Now here we have a makeshift timeline of the Lost universe. 1954, 1974, 1977, 2004, 2005, and 2007. It's just approximate, but bear with me on that. So that's the main timeline, everything we've seen up through Season 5. And here's how it worked. Alright, 2004, plane crashes on the island. 2005, some of the people are rescued, and the frozen donkey wheel is pushed. At that time, there's a series of jumps through time. I might have these out of order. It's not important because I know where they end up. Losties who stay on the island. Some of them, they at one point go to 2007. I'm not sure what order that was in. They go back to 1954. They end up at 1974, and they rejoin the timeline until 2007. All right. The other group of Losties, they're rescued. They go right along their merry way until 2007, when they get on another plane. And that plane splits again. And we have one group that lands on the island, 2007, keeps going. Another group flashes back to 1977, at which point they join the timeline. All right? They joined the timeline in 54, went to 77, joined it, stayed till 77. This group went from 77, joined it for a matter of days. If it was even full days, I'm not sure. The other group, all from the original everything, keeps going 2007. And they're still in 2007 at some point along the way. Alright, so 2007, they detonate the Jughead bomb. At that point, everyone who had rejoined the timeline, this is still the original timeline, this all always happened, because they always did this. They jump to 2007, immediately. Still on the island, still the same timeline, everything's the same, they jump to 2007. Except that is where the monkey wrench, where people go, paradox, and I'm sorry, I have to disagree. That's where that comes in. At that point, in 1977, nowhere else, a divergent timeline is created. And I'm sorry, the green is kind of hard to see, but I won't be using a lot with the green. Divergent timeline is created, and it is that point in 2004 where the plane does not crash. Desmond never ended up on the island. Presumably Rousseau never landed on the island, but we won't go into there. As far as we know, for sure, Desmond never showed up on the island because he was on the plane, unless Jack was hallucinating. And they are going on here. Now, presumably, and this is not a spoiler for the rest of the season because I've stayed clear of all spoilers, presumably, at some point, these two timelines are going to come together by the end of the season. Just an assumption based on knowledge of simple storytelling. Not that Lost is simple. Clearly, I am making a timeline for a television show. It's not simple. So, the argument that I am refuting is that because this new group of Jack and Kate and Sawyer, because they are here, they never crash, they will never go back in time to here, to here, to here, to have Jughead buried in the first place and have it not leak and kill everyone, to join the others, and to eventually explode Jughead, causing the incident. And that is true. Group B, as we'll call them. Let's call them B. Let's call these guys A. And neither one's the real one. They're both real. They're both fake. It's fictional. A and B. B doesn't have to go back and change the timeline, because A did. Now, a paradox is when, alright, my father was killed when I was 5, let's say, so I work really hard and become a time traveler, go back in time to 5 minutes before and kill the guy who's going to kill my dad. And because that happens, I grow up just fine and never work to create a time machine, so I never go back in time to save my dad, and it's either an infinite loop where I save him, I don't save him, I save him, I don't save him, I save him, I don't save him, or reality implodes on itself and everything ceases to exist. Isn't it great that time travel doesn't exist, because that would be annoying. So that would be a paradox in its most basic sense. So here the argument is that because B goes here, and in 2004 they never crash. They land in LA, and we don't know what happens after this. Presumably they meet back up. But because they never go back, and because the island was sunk, the island is at the bottom of the ocean, that they never go back and create this. So the argument is that there is a constant loop. The argument is that because they did go back in time and change the past, they went forward into the future, which meant they never went back and changed the past. That's the argument. It's not true, though. Or it is, but that's not a paradox. B never has to go back in time. Ever. Because A did it for them. And this is not, as far as I can tell, the Fringe, the other television show by J.J. Abrams that also involves alternate dimensions. This is not an example where there are multiple strands, where there is this universe, this universe, this universe, and everyone's just a little bit different based on your choices. In the Lost universe, from everything we've been led to believe, and once again, this is all just based on the show, there's only one version. If you go back in time, you do not change the past, because whatever happened, happened. As far as we can tell, this is the first divergent timeline that has ever been created in the Lost universe. And it's an assumption. I'll go with that. But this is not them jumping to another reality. It's the creation of a secondary, not even a secondary, a concurrent reality. It's not like that circle where it's two universes that go back and forth. It's a concurrent reality created here. The time travel stuff all still happened, but it was done by alternate versions of themselves who still exist. There's no nullification of Universe A because Universe A still exists. They're still around. They always went back in time. No paradox. And I know this is all confusing. I hope it was very clear. But in order for it to be a paradox, A would have to cease to exist. But because A still exists, there is no paradox. A continues to complete that loop. A good way to think of it is like a pretzel. You've got this impetus right here. And this one continually goes around and loops. It keeps going. It's got this loop, but it keeps going. And this one just creates right here. It's just a kind of a broken pretzel. Straight on with this other one that goes right here. No paradox. It would only be a paradox if this ceased to exist. And it didn't cease to exist, therefore no paradox, by the definition of a paradox. So that's why I think there's no paradox. This has been Jordan from Jersey. Hope I didn't bore everyone too much, and I hope that made a lick of sense. Because I'm no physicist, just work with common sense. Wow, and now that I've edited all that, that was long, boring, and annoying. Sorry, but I did warn you. Also, I said 2007 a few times when I meant 1977, but I was always pointing at the right one, so go with which one I was pointing.